Hello and welcome to 60 Minutes or Less, a podcast from Birthday Cake for Breakfast. I'm Andy Hughes, and for episode 43, we welcome an artist who's been a regular feature on Birthday Cake for Breakfast since near enough day dot, Matt Bigland of Dinosaur Pile-Up. The new Dinosaur Pile-Up album, I Felt Better, has just landed in August 2025, with a UK tour not far behind. Business as usual, you'd think. Not quite. Their first record in 6 years follows a rollercoaster ride of health issues for Bigland, who spent chunks of the intervening years in and out of hospital, suffering rapid weight loss, internal bleeding, and at one point his throat almost collapsed in on itself. Fucking hell. Whilst Bigland remains on the recovery journey today, things are certainly looking up, and health-wise he's in a much better place. He was certainly chipper in our interview when we caught up over Zoom at the start of August. We spoke of the new record, married life, the early days of Dinosaur Pile-Up, drinking in the music industry, performance anxiety, and those major health issues. If you liked the episode, let us know. Follow us on your favourite streaming platform, follow Birthday Cake for Breakfast on all the socials, give us a 5-star rating, whatever. Right, on to Matt Bigland. Enjoy.
Andy.
How you doing, Matt? Good to see you.
Yeah. Yo, dude. Good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm good, cheers. How are you getting on?
Getting on. Okay. You know, surviving.
Yeah, I was going to say, without saying the name of the title of the album, how have you been?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good compared to where I was at for sure. Thank God. I'm 1,000% better than where I was at. But I'm still kind of riding that wave, still managing that, still on medication, still kind of flaring up, sort of all the time. So it's a thing, but like I'm definitely better than I was.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. And I was so gutted to see all the videos that you did. It was just,
Yeah.
yeah, really sad, man. But you're looking really well.
Thank you very much, man. Yeah, I'm doing my best. There's a lot going on right now, like preparing for tours, like press tours, a lot of technical stuff. Dinosaur's working out for the show and stuff. So it is pretty full on right now. I kind of wish I could just now that everything's sort of booked. I kind of wish I could just like take a couple of days or a week or whatever just to sort of recalibrate, but I sort of can't. And it is what it is. But things are good, stuff's exciting. It's cool.
Are you locked in now then for until the tour's over and until the record's out? You're pretty much,
Yeah, well, I am. I'm locked in until mid-December this year. Obviously, next year will sort of start to come in and become clear. But yeah, I'm locked in till December, mid-December. From September 4th, I'm kind of out. Dinosaurs tour, UK tour starts then. Then I'm doing Brazil with Karen, my wife, because she's out there supporting Avenged Sevenfold for some shows. And then I come straight off that and go to onto the US tour with Dinosaur for sort of 5 or 6 weeks, and then go straight into some Europe stuff when I get back from that.
Christ.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite full on. It's good though.
At least, part of that is with your wife, and everything in the videos that you posted, it seemed like your partner was the beacon that, got you out of all the health issues. Not so much out of the health issues, but got you, like gave you something to work towards and stuff. So that must be so nice being able to go on tour with her and still be with her and no downtime.
Yeah, man, 100%. Like Kay and I, obviously, we just want to be together all the time. I guess that's why you get married. So, when we got married, we want to just make memories together. So obviously, the fact that I do this and she does that, as much time as we can have where we're both there, we want to do that because I just want to make a bunch of wicked memories and be like, oh fuck, remember when we did that or whatever. Like, I don't really want to have to be split. Neither does she. Obviously, with our schedules, at some point we will be, but for now, we're sort of trying to make it work so we can sort of be around each other as much as we can.
That's good, man. I saw the other day there was a photo from 10 years ago when you guys played with Tiger Cub and others at the Flapper in Birmingham, like it was an all-dayer,
Fucking hell! Wow.
which means that it's 10 years since 1111 came out this year. and amazingly, it's 15 years of growing pains. That was obviously a completely different time, not only for yourself, but for the band. It must be
Yeah.
wild having to think about stuff like that if you have thought about it.
No, dude, I think about it all the time, man. That is wild, isn't it? Because like obviously Growing Pains about 15 years old, and obviously I started getting Dinosaur sort of cooking before that, really. That came out in 2010. I guess I was doing Dinosaur sort of 2007, maybe even 2006. I can't really remember, but I know 2007, by 2007 I was doing it, which is crazy to think about because like when I started, like, did I think, because that's nearly 20 years. That's nearly 20 years. So like when I started, did I think, yeah, you're going to do this for 20 years? 20 years. Or like, do you know what I mean? Like I literally turned 40 the week before last or something.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. And that was I wasn't like I didn't have an age freak out or anything, but I was like, holy fuck, like you've been doing Dinosaur since your early 20s and you're now 40. And that is crazy. And obviously all the other crazy shit that comes along with that, like social media wasn't really a thing when we started this. Spotify wasn't really a thing. I remember walking through Leeds one time talking to a mate, and he was telling me, "Oh yeah, Apple are about to release this phone, and it's got one button on it." And I was like, "That's what? That's crazy." And all of that happened, like, do you know what I mean? Like just before Dinosaur or as Dinosaur started, and stuff like that is crazy because the curve of everything, all the technological advances and blah blah blah, how we consume stuff, how we consume music. The curve now is almost vertical, and everything's changing so quickly. It's pretty wild to look back on, and it's pretty wild to look back on and think like, wow, you started this when you were just a naive kid. Like I had no links to music. I didn't know anyone that like knew someone that was linked to music. I didn't have a family member that was some record executive or whatever. I had no fucking knowledge. I just knew that I wanted to do it, and I naively just plowed through, you know, for years, like just kind of figuring it out. And it's crazy now to be like looking back on that whole journey. Wild.
I like that you said as well that you were sleeping in the control room when you were doing the early record, driving the
Yeah,
van with no brakes,
yeah,
eating packet noodles every day.
yeah. Fucking hell, yeah,
So like I said, and you've alluded to, you've come on a crazy amount,
yeah.
but fond memories, I imagine, still of doing that where you could do all-nighters and you could just crack on in the studio and you didn't need to eat a substantial amount. You could just get away with eating anything, that must be pretty similarly wild just looking back on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like thinking about the shit that I used to do and the shit that we used to do as we toured, and like, obviously, I think about my body so much now, and I'm so grateful that I have my body, and I'm so grateful for my body. The human body is fucking incredible, and obviously, through this whole journey I've been through, I've learned a lot about it. But thinking back to just being in the studio, living in the studio, eating fucking noodles. I'm not a big drinker. I never have been, and now I'm very aware that I'm not a drinker. So I don't drink. Like it's not that I don't drink, but like I just never drink. But thinking back to like early touring days of Dinosaur, like the performance anxiety that I would get, that I still get. But I thought a way I could manage that was by drinking half a bottle of Jack Daniels before I went on. Like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And when I look back on that shit, I'm just like, man, the no sleep, the tours, the shit that used to put your body through, just absolutely insane. So yeah, like a lot has changed.
I
Yeah.
imagine, particularly like you say, with what your body's capable of now, I imagine sleeping on the floor of a room is just a no-no.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's a no-no just because I've done it so much. It's a no-no because I'm just like, I've fucking done that for years. Like, I'm just not gonna do it anymore. There's one memory in my brain that will probably never leave. And Mike and I I don't know where Jim was, or maybe he even wasn't in the band that at that point. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but we were on this tour with a band supporting us called City in the Blisters, and I didn't know who the fuck they were, but they were on the tour with us. And I think an XXX manager had sort of shoehorned them in, and they said we didn't have a place to crash, so they said, "Hey, you can crash at ours." We were like, "Great." And when we got into their place, it was just literally like it was bordering on like Smackdown. It wasn't a Smackdown, but it was bordering on it. And there was broken glass. Like literally, someone had taken four filled bin liners full of trash and just emptied them across the entire room. And there was broken glass, like someone had broken like 3 pint glasses, and it was fucking shattered everywhere. And me and Mike, literally, that was the only room we could use. We had to clear a sort of sleeping space. I found a space under a pool table that had less glass than outside the pool table. And we just had to sort of make a space, lay our sleeping bags down, and just sleep in that. And that memory has just never left me because it was like, it was just so grim. Like, and there was a lot of grim experiences, but that was particularly like, what the fuck? What are we doing? Like, what actually are we doing? So, like, yeah, I don't like, I don't want to do that shit anymore. I'm not prepared to do that stuff anymore. Like, I've done that for years. And like, it's funny, like, as you grow up, obviously, I've had health issues. I obviously am now in love with my person and we're married and life's good. My priorities have changed. I love making music. It's what I live for. It's what I live to do. And I love the band, blah blah blah. But like, I have something now that I love more than the band, which is my wife and my family. And before, I was prepared to sleep on a fucking bed of broken glass in a fucking skag den, whatever. But I'm just like, not now. I'm like, nah. That's what I have to do. I'm just not like, I don't need to do that anymore. It's funny, like, again, to our first point, like, 20 years is a fucking long time, and you grow and you learn and you mature. It's pretty wild.
Definitely, man, definitely. And I mean, yeah, it's just the idea of doing that anyway, regardless of doing it post show.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck, honestly. Yeah. And like, we still have to tour. There's going to be long, long drives that we have to do, but like, some of the drives we used to do are just bonkers. And like, the stuff we had to sort of go through to sort of like make US tours work for the first couple of US tours and stuff. Just fucking mental. I'm just giving you a heads up because I like this chat. We've got 15 minutes because I've got interviews every half an hour till 5:30 or whatever. So I just want you to be aware of that, so we don't have to be like, oh fuck, we've got to go.
I have had it. I won't name names, but I have had it where we were deep into a conversation with someone and they went, I've got to go now, by the way. And it's like, all right, great. And they were like, unless you want to ask anything else. And it's like, but yeah,
We're really talking.
yeah, okay. So, funnily enough, about that, I mean, we'll touch on it, the health stuff and like the health issues that you have reported on. I spoke with BC Camplight recently for the podcast, and he talked about personal trauma and having to talk about it in interviews. And I thought, it must be such a funny thing to have things like health issues and trauma go into a press release and go
Yeah,
into interviews because it is so personal. And
yeah.
yet it is what has, meant you're away or, you haven't released music for such a period. So how does it feel having to sit there today and one after the other just talk to people about
Yeah,
health issues and low moments in your life? What's that like? It must be strange.
yeah. It is quite strange. Like, I don't mind talking about it at all because it's what happened and it is what it is, and it would be strange not to talk about it. But it is quite odd, and I definitely didn't ever think, like, in my, up to now, maybe say pre 2019, I didn't ever think I would ever be talking about this sort of shit in press and interviews and stuff, because I guess I didn't ever think that was gonna happen. So I don't mind talking about it. It's just kind of strange. but I don't mind talking about it. Like that's the story. It's why we were away for so long. It's contributed to a lot of the new album. It's contributed to how I sort of see myself in music now and how I sort of fit into it. So yeah, it's strange, but like it's real, you know. It would be fucking weird if we didn't talk about it and if I hadn't ever mentioned any of this. Because there was definitely a point where obviously when I put those videos out, there was a point where I was like, fuck, like, well, even when I was in hospital for the first time, I was like, fuck, I'm just not here and it's weird and people are asking what's going on and are we breaking up and blah blah blah. And I didn't really want to talk about it because it was so fucking deep. But at the same time, I was like, I've kind of got to, I've sort of got to say, all right, this is actually what's happening. And again, on social media, that's not a particularly social media-ish thing to do because everything's always got to be amazing all the time and life's brilliant. And life obviously wasn't brilliant and it was really fucked. And I guess there was a point where I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to talk about this. And then when the videos decided to do the videos, that was a similar moment where I was like, fuck, like people really like because it had been years at that point, people were literally like messaging me like, have you guys split up? And that was kind of crazy. And I was like, well, of course they're gonna think that because we've just dropped off the map. And how weird would it be if eventually, 4 years later, I sort of get back to a place where I'm sort of maybe healthy enough to sort of get back on the horse. And then I'm just like, I act as if everything's normal. That would be so strange because something deeply significant had happened to me. So therefore, I was like, there's no way around this really. I have to just sort of face it head on and be like, yo, this is what's happened. This is what it is now. This is where I'm at. Do you know what I mean? It's just strange to have to be so vulnerable and sort of transparent and open about stuff with, and I don't mean with like specifically with press, but like with the fan base. Like I love Dinosaur's fan base so much. Like I don't know how it's happened, but like we've cultivated this amazing fan base that's just like so full of love and support for the band, which absolutely blows my mind. Like every time I sort of have an experience where I realize that again, I'm just like, holy shit, like our fan base is so wholesome sort of behind the band. But it's still quite weird to have to be this vulnerable and transparent with a group of people that technically I don't know. You know, it's quite strange. But at the same time, it's quite nice because I'm like, this is it, and I'm not sort of holding any what would you call it, false pretenses and being someone I'm trying to be someone I'm not in front of that fan base, a group of people. I'm trying to be as legit as I can because I sort of need to be. Although it's strange being that vulnerable to a group of people that you technically don't know, it's actually quite nice because they're so supportive and I can be as honest as I need to be. It's quite cool in a way. Once I've it's sort of like jumping off a high diving board into a swimming pool or off a cliff into the sea or whatever. Before you've done it, you're sort of terrified of doing it, but once you've done it, you're kind of like, oh, this is actually all right, sort of like that.
It kind of ties in as well with something that you'd said either in a video or in the press release or whatever. And it said, you've made peace with the fact that you're not going to be recognized as cool as such, or, you're not too worried about Dino being like this cool band and what have you. Is that kind of like in the same, breath that you were like, not only are the fans there with us and they support us, but because of your perspective changing so much, you're like, yeah, fuck it. I don't need to be cool anymore. This is the music. This is who we are.
For sure, man. Like I don't think I ever felt like I was in the in crowd anyway. I'm not sure if I've ever felt like that. And I was never really too bothered about being like that super cool thing. I mean, it must kind of feel cool to be super, like, I don't know, to sort of be aware that you're considered fucking cool. I guess that must be quite dope. But I didn't ever feel like I was like that. And I never sort of fit into that or cared very much about it. But obviously, after getting sick, everything was again put into perspective so starkly. Yeah, like what matters and what truly matters became instantly very, very clear when I was sort of facing mortality head on. And that was suddenly like, oh, yeah, well, this band shit doesn't fucking matter. at all. Being cool doesn't matter at all. Like having this pretense doesn't matter. Like none of this fucking matters. The only thing that matters is having time with the people that you love. And outside of that, I guess for me, my creative output, all I really care about outside of spending time with Karen and like being with the people that I love is okay. So outside of that, which is the highest priority to me, what actually matters, and the only thing that does remain is just like, are you making good work that you're fucking proud of and you think's fucking cool? And I am, which feels great. But does it matter if a bunch of cool people that I don't know or give a fuck about think it's cool or not? No, not one bit. Like it just doesn't matter. I don't think I was ever too concerned about that, but definitely after these recent experiences, I'm just not. I just don't really give a fuck, and that's why sometimes I can be, what's the word? You know, I sometimes, or often actually, I should say, like really feel and relate to imposter syndrome and stuff like that, and like, oh, are you meant to be here? And this is weird. Why are you here? Blah blah blah. But when I'm reminded of our sort of fan base and how much support that community gives to the band, I'm like, oh fuck, like that's wild. And I forget that so often. But then, for instance, we played that Sheffield show to close up the lead mill, and it was just absolutely overwhelming, like the amount of support and love coming from that crowd. It's just bananas. And that's fucking amazing. That's really, in terms of the band and blah blah blah, that's what matters, surely. That sort of connection you've got.
And on the flip side of that, I thought it was really bittersweet, that thing you said about you were out in a DPU shirt and someone didn't even recognize you, but instead was like, oh, what happened to them? So now you are on the trajectory where the record is out, this month, and then you've got the UK tour off the back of that and all the plans
Yeah.
that follow. So it must be, such a relief in a way to have come from, oh, what happened to DPU to now being on the cusp of, everything that's coming up.
Yeah, that is cool. He said, "Are they still together?" I vividly remember that moment. He said, "Oh yeah, Dinosaur. Yeah, are they still together?" I was like, "Yeah." And it was like after that moment, obviously, I thought about that a lot. I was like, "Fuck!" Like people literally think we've just split up and disappeared. It was crazy. But you're right. Like now, being in this at this point, the singles are doing great. The record's just about to come out. I'm really proud of it, and it seems to be reacting well, which is always a bonus. It's obviously not the be all and end all, but it is a huge bonus. It feels cool that they like people are getting it. That feels good. Because I can't remember when that was. It was, I guess, probably like 2 years ago or whatever. And when that guy said that, and it was a bit like we weren't doing anything yet. The record wasn't coming out yet, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like, is this still a thing? It was wild. So it does feel good to be putting stuff out in the world again, for sure.
And it must be crazy as well, considering, pre-COVID, you'd signed that massive parlophone deal with Celebrity
Yeah,
Mansions to then have everything, crash with COVID and obviously health issues. So
yeah.
coming off the back of that, yeah, the three of you must be so chuffed just to be in a position where you can do this and you are,
Absolutely. Like with everything that's gone on, blah blah blah, we're stoked just to be able to do it. And obviously, I'm even more stoked because there was definitely a point a couple of years ago when I was in hospital where I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be sort of doing life at some point. Like it was so intense. So the fact that I can be back here and doing this again is again such a sort of blessing, and I feel really grateful for that. And the boys are fucking stoked, obviously, because they missed doing it, and they're just stoked to sort of be back on the horse, I guess. And yeah, it feels good.
we don't record, well, we do record the video, but we don't put the video out. But if we did, by the way, it looks like such a sponsorship you're doing with the which explains the tours and stuff. Yeah, it's really good to see you all back again and doing your thing. And the record's great. And low key album highlight, I'd say, is Sunflower. I think that's a real
Great.
it's a bit of a switch up. So say it here first, just in
Yeah.
case it becomes one of the live favorites. But yeah, everything's rosy, and you must just be chuffed.
Yeah, I'm chuffed, man. Like I feel good. You know, it's always a bit bittersweet because unfortunately I've got the health stuff is a constant now. So it's always a bit tough because like I've got this all this amazing stuff happening, which is amazing, and I'm so grateful for. But it's always got a caveat of like, yeah, but you're not that well. Do you know what I mean? And that can be tricky. Like obviously, like I said to you before, I'm a million times better than I was, thank God. And I'm back on my feet and shit's good. But you know, there's nothing more precious than your health. Without your health, you can't fucking do anything. You can't even love the people that you want to love without your health, let alone go and do a band or whatever. So I'm fucking stoked. But obviously, I'm still on this journey of managing the health stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, am I better than I was? Yeah. Am I glad to be here? 100%. Is stuff looking up band wise? Yeah. So nothing to complain about, you know.
And you don't need half a bottle of JD to.
I can't even imagine doing that now. It's so wild. Like, what the fuck was I doing? I was just so anxious, man. But like, I've literally never been a drinker. Like, even then, I didn't really like to drink, but I was just trying to get away from it, like trying to get away from that anxiety. And I now know that that's just part of it. You just have to have fun and chill about it. But it took me a long time to sort of become comfortable with that and discover that. Wild.
Yeah. I think we're coming up to it. So I
Yeah.
appreciate it, Matt. Sorry that we couldn't have more time, but
Yeah, me too, man. Andy, have we talked many times before?
a few times, yeah.
Yeah,
Fest-
because every time I see
Festivals and stuff.
right, because every time I see birthday cake for breakfast, I always am like, oh yeah, like I like it's so familiar to me. But this time when I saw it again and it was again familiar, I was like, I've got to ask because it's the one that always sticks out. I'm like, I've known that for like years. Did you start it a long time ago?
It was over 10 years ago now. So
Wow.
it would have been pre that show in Birmingham. But I remember speaking with you guys out. I think we spoke outside it. We must have done an interview then as well. I think the first one was I don't know if you remember, you did a show at not the Ritz, the Ruby Lounge in Manchester.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
I think that was the first time. I don't know how long ago that was.
For fucking ages. Ruby Lounge, God. Yeah, man. It's mad when I talk about, I know we've got to go, but like, it's mad when I talk, like, whatever. We mentioned the Flapper or the Ruby Lounge or whatever. And those were back, that was back in the days where I wasn't in control of like the performance anxiety and stuff like that. And like, not that I'm like, I don't know, in control or a pro now, but back then I was just it just racked me and I wasn't in control of it at all. So whenever you mention like Ruby Lounge or Flapper, I get a little pang of because it sort of reminds me of like that sort of time and like rolling up to the venue when it was time to load in. I was just fucking like crippled with nerves and it's funny like yeah mentioning all those sort of those smaller regional places and it sort of just takes me immediately back to where my head was at. It's funny. Weird.
Well, sorry to do that leading into the next interview. But yeah, I mean, appreciate that you've been there through the life of birthday cake for breakfast. It's yeah, it's
Yeah.
appreciated.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Well, I hope I see you out there. One of the things, maybe, I don't know what we're doing next year, but probably I hope download and stuff. So maybe we'll
Swish.
see you at something.